Okay, so, welcome to the first episode of Paper Review, where we talk about old pay-per-views from the WWE Network, or at least what's on there. This was originally going to be us talking about the current pay-per-views, but, work sucks, and we're tired, and, we just can't be, concurrent.
Yeah.
But this is too good of a title to give up, and he came up with that, so I'm just like, yeah, we gotta use that. So, and since it is the season of spoops, it is October, and Halloween is just around the corner, and WWE has finally decided to bring back Halloween Havoc as an NXT episode event, we decided we're going to take a look at the very first Halloween Havoc. And this could just be a yearly thing where we make our way through. The funny thing is, the first one came out October 28th, 1989, and the new one's going to come out October 28th. Did I say 38?
You said 28.
Okay, 20. But 28th, 2020. So exactly 31 years.
Very cool.
Oh, shit. Did they plan that? I was thinking, my mind would be like 30.
Oh, yeah.
30 is a round number, but 31?
Yeah.
Oh, man, that works even better.
Oh, yes, I totally came up with that.
It's Hunter, so... yeah, came up with that.
That was
Anyway.
Macho Man.
See, I can't do the Hunter voice. I just go slip in the Macho Man. But, this is the first time I've watched, like, an 80s event, because I was never... I didn't get into wrestling until, like, 97, 98.
Yeah.
So I was Attitude Era. I knew of wrestling, obviously, because I grew up in the 80s.
I wasn't allowed to watch it.
Yeah. So I never really
Take
watched
that,
it.
Dad.
And now you talk about it on the internet to tens of people. But yeah, so like it's really interesting to go back in time and look at just the pure aesthetics of it.
Yeah, I love doing stuff like this. Like, I'm a huge Pathfinder nut. But I like looking at old D&D books to see how it eventually became Pathfinder. Or, we're both Doctor Who fans.
Yeah.
And it's always fun to go watch the classic Who with Troughton and Baker and all them guys. So this is sort of like the same thing as that.
Yeah.
And it's definitely a similar feel, because it's different, but also not.
Yeah, you can see how it got to where we are now.
Yeah.
The other thing that makes this timely watch now is the marquee match for this was the Thunderdome!
Yep.
We heard that a lot nowadays, but not at all like the Thunderdome we have now, because, well, that technology didn't even exist. But that was sci-fi.
That probably would have blown their minds back then.
We'll get to the Thunderdome.
Yeah.
We might go, I have the list on my phone on Wikipedia, the most reliable source of information, so we'll probably just talk quickly about each match, what we remember, because we should have taken notes, but we didn't.
Nah.
But what I really want to put out, I think you pointed this out too, most of the matches were tag team matches.
I think you said there was 8 matches total, and only 3 of them were singles.
Yeah.
Which was actually really cool, because, even with taking, everything we know about Vince McMahon apparently hating tag teams and all, you don't see much tag team stuff in general. Like, it's tag team champion matches, and that's it. Or these group of wrestlers started fighting, so let's randomly make a tag team match out of it. It's very rare we see established tag teams have non-title matches these days.
And it's really good.
Yeah, they were all really cool.
Yeah. So, the first match was the Z-Man, not Brian Zane, Tom Zink, versus Captain Mike Rotunda, who would go on to become IRS, and also the father of Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, I was going to say, it ended up being the first thing that makes it sort of Halloween-y, because, he's the father of the Fiend. But, without knowing any of the backstory or anything, or if this was just a match thrown together, it was fine, it was fun. That is one thing I will say compared to matches versus then versus now. I will be the first person to admit that WWE will play hype packages way too much during pay-per-views, but they're useful.
Yeah.
Like I said, throughout my punishment video for that one SummerSlam and this, is I have no idea if these are the ends of storylines, or they're just okay, we need to fill up this pay-per-view, let's throw these teams together.
But I was thinking that too. It's I don't really know who I'm supposed to root for, who's the heel. I only know who might be a heel and face just based on stuff I've learned through history.
Yeah, well, we did see, not IRS, get a foreign object out of his knee pad, so I assumed he was the heel.
I'm sure he always plays the heel anyway, so. But it's weird, there's a lack of half packages, but they didn't exist then.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure there's a weekly show. I think it was, but this is before Raw and Nitro ever existed. Like,
Okay.
if there was a weekly show, it was like a Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon.
Well, that's
thing,
mostly what I remember about not being allowed to watch wrestling. Is after, like, immediately after my Saturday morning cartoons that I was a kid, wrestling would start. My dad would go, "Turn that off. You're not allowed to watch that."
Speaking of aesthetics, though, we didn't touch this. We got like, it's called Halloween Havoc, and what we've come to know the most from Halloween Havoc is the beautiful sets they have.
Yeah.
They didn't do anything for this first one.
Yeah, there was, except for, like, some of the, like, when the screen would flip, there would be gravestones and stuff, but there wasn't really much Halloween aesthetic to it.
Like, they had a really good opening, which was a very cheesy...
Oh, very cheesy, very
cheesy
campy.
80s Halloween thing, and mwah, I love it. Give me more. And, like, the backgrounds for the interview segments had things like that. But, like, this is clearly, like, the first one, so they're not quite getting into what would be... Like, I can't wait till we get to the giant pumpkin. That's the most endearing image of Halloween Havoc, and that's what it should be.
Yeah.
Well, okay, can't go over much of the match because I don't remember, but it was a really solid match. Like, it was, a lot of it's stuff, like, we think of, like, 80s wrestling as, like, Hulk Hogan and all the big guys just, and the arm bars and stuff, but no, there's fast-paced, flippy stuff, so it's all part of
climbing up to the top rope and jumping across the ring, all sorts of stuff. I mean, I can't think of too much from the first match other than, hey, this was pretty good. So
it is weird to go back and watch these and see Jim Ross, young Jim Ross. Yeah. Like, not only before the Bell's palsy, but just in general, because, your voice ages, and, like, oh, man, his voice is, like, way higher than what I was used to, even in the Attitude Era. And his wrestling, not cohort, co-host.
Co-broadcaster.
Yeah, that works.
I kept thinking it was Gorilla Monsoon.
Yeah, it looks
he sounds like Gorilla Monsoon.
Yeah, he sounds like, but it's Bob something. I feel bad I forget his name.
Yeah,
but,
so...
Yeah. It's there's no commentary desk this time. It's just staying up with microphones somewhere. So that's also a thing that's weird.
Yeah, no one went through a table actually. So I changed my mind. 0 out of 10.
All right, so the second match we're gonna have a lot to talk about.
Ooh, yeah, this is what Samoan, we like to say did not age well.
The Samoan SWAT team and the Savage Samoan, or the Samoan Savage, versus the Midnight Express and Dr. Death Steve Williams. With Jim Cornette. Old Corny.
Yeah.
And man, like watching him, and he appears twice, because you think, like, you watch him, like, you can see why he's such a revered name in the business. It just, I wish he didn't become such old man yells at cloud and did a racism.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the Samoan team, led by, what was it, Oliver Humperdinck?
Oh yeah, Humperdinck.
Yeah.
No relation to the guy from Princess Bride, unfortunately.
Yeah. But, yeah, it's not good. They're the savages that he controls, and he's a white dude. I'm like, ooh, this did not age well.
Yeah.
And even at the time, it was bad. It's just this is the 80s and we didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
But
of course, going back to didn't know who's the heel and who was the face, I assumed the white guys were the faces, but then Cornette cheated.
Yeah.
So that would make them the heels by default.
I think so. Cornette's
points
usually,
for progress, making the Samoans the good guys.
Yeah, because Cornette,
maybe.
Cornette's mostly the heel. So, but yeah, it is funny. It was tying back to recent events. One of the Samoan SWAT team was Fatu, also as Rikishi, also the father of the Usos, who we just saw.
But yeah, that match was it was pure unadulterated chaos, and I enjoyed the hell out of it.
Oh yeah, it was great.
I couldn't keep track of who the legal man was. I don't think even they could.
I don't think so either.
So many people coming in, breaking up pins, or just started fights. It was a brawl, and it was fun.
Yeah, it's like the first time I've seen the Midnight Express.
Yeah.
And like, oh yeah, they are really good. Yeah. Like, wow, I see why Cornette management always speaks highly of them. They were a fun match, and I did like it. It's interesting. Like, I don't like the Savage gimmick, but they did play it up by having none of the Samoan team had shoes on.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, that's good. It's just, man, that's problematic.
Yeah.
That is so problematic now. All right, moving on to things that are still a little more problematic, not as problematic. It was Tommy Rich versus the Cuban assassin, who's not from here.
Yeah.
He's got his own
crazy passport.
Like, the first thing we see is him in the ring flying the Cuban flag.
Not like a tiny thing on a stick. He's got the full pole and just...
Oh, yeah.
That's why we both immediately went to the Futurama reference.
That is exactly what they're making fun of with that.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming he was the heel because he's the foreigner from Cuba. Good match from what I remember. Didn't spend so much.
Don't remember much, but yeah, it was fine. It was good.
It's just, again, just like, all right, Cuban Assassin.
Oh, right, the 80s.
All right, more tag team with the Fabulous Freebirds. Michael Hayes and Jimmy Garvin versus the Dynamic Dudes. Johnny Ace and Shane Douglas with Jim Cornette. Oh, she's with Shane Douglas? Damn.
80th tag team ever, the Dynamic Dudes. Yep. Not only dudes, but they came out in fucking tie-dye.
And skateboards, which they didn't know how to ride, which is why they never rode them. They just
I didn't even pay attention to that.
Because that was one of my listening segments of the Jim Cornette podcast. He talked about that and how they did not know how to do it. I forgot that was Shane Douglas. Wow.
But that's one of the. This is the one where first really stood out to me. It's like, okay, this is impressive because it's a common spot nowadays for one wrestler to come running at the other, and the other will jump over it, spread the legs so it goes in between them. Both of the Dynamic Dudes, I freaking love that name. One of the Freebirds came running at both of them at the same time, and they both did it. And it's like, okay, that was freaking cool. And then both of the dudes did a drop kick at the same time against one of the Freebirds. It's like, okay, that was freaking cool. So, it turns out tag team wrestling can be really awesome. What the fuck, Vince?
This is also the one that confused me because it was for the World Tag Team title.
Yeah.
But there was only one belt. And I was like, are they explaining? Because the Freebirds are a three-man team. That's why it's called the Freebird Rule. They're the first team to have 3 members, and when they were the champs, any of the combination could defend the belts. That's why New Day does it, and in Shield.
A bit of history I didn't know, so that's cool.
So I was like, okay, are they explaining the other guy has the other belt, and they just never came out. And I'm like, huh, all right, that's weird.
Maybe there was only one belt back then.
Yeah, it might have been, but And there another one who apparently Michael Hayes was the first one to introduce rock music as his theme, and it's weird thinking about it, because a lot of the themes were kind of generic music, but good themes. They're
I'm going back to the Cuban Assassin one. The blonde white dude who wasn't the Cuban Assassin.
Yeah.
His theme it wasn't like a pumped up let's get amp, but it was like, this is nice.
Yeah.
This is something to listen to in a doctor's office so you're not nervous about your colonoscopy.
Yeah, exactly. That's a weird example, but okay. We'll go with that one. But yeah, and Michael P.S. Hayes, I think still works for WWE, but he managed the Hardy Boys for a while.
Oh, that's cool.
He's why they got they went from being very babyface white meat with their weird checkered boards or 90s patterns to the look you associate with them now. That started with him, then they became the New Brood, and it's a whole thing. All right, more tag team action. Doom!
Led by Woman!
Versus the Steiner brothers, Rick and Scott, before Scott became the genetic freak and big Papa Pump.
Yeah.
And it's just what happened to him.
Yeah. Again, this one was a lot of fun. The Doom is okay, where the frick did they find these guys? Because they look like they came out of a fucking comic book.
Yeah.
The mask was even without the mask, it's humans don't look like this. Holy shit.
I know one was Farouk.
Yeah.
Ron Simmons, before his catchphrase was, damn!
Yeah.
And his time in the APA, which he still looked like that.
Yeah.
He just looked like that the whole time.
And then, woman barking orders. But again, fun, really high energetic match, a lot of stuff going on.
Oh yeah. Steiner's a really good tag team.
Yeah.
So again, I wish we remembered more spots. But it kind of blends together.
Yeah, and it was all of the matches were really high energy, really quick. So
yeah, there's very little.
I don't think there was any bad matches. I just can't think of anything that was holy crap, what did that person just do?
Yeah,
there's no Ricochet doing a flip off the rolls of the walls of War Games.
Yeah, there's nothing like that, but it was again, it was stuff that's really comparable to what we see now, so I think that's part of why we were I'm sure when this happened, everyone's oh my god, what's going on here? But since we're accustomed to that style, it lets things out, but it's still really entertaining, there's a lot of energy, and I wish we kept that now. It seems like there's a lot of rest spots, which is funny, because again, you think 80s wrestling, you think a lot of rest spots, but this did not have many.
No,
this moved along quickly. One of the other singles matches, Lex Luger with the the prestigious United States Championship.
United States World Championship. Yeah. Them adding or United States Heavyweight Champions, that was it. Them adding the heavyweight in, it kept throwing me off. But okay, this match was good, but they're both beefy men with long blonde hair, so I kept forgetting who was who. And again, I didn't know who was the face and who was the heel, though. It was kind of funny. One had purple trunks, one had red trunks. So I was just like, it's like Autobots and Decepticons.
Yep. Well, the other guy was Brian Pillman, Flying Brian, before he became the loose cannon. And I was just talking about, like, I've heard so much about Brian Pillman, and I got into wrestling right before he died, and I remember Pillman's got a gun, and so I never got to see him in his matches, and I was like, I should look at some Brian Pillman matches, and I got to watch one, and he was really good. I definitely got a loose cannon, but...
Yeah, the match was really good, I just don't know who was who and who I was supposed to be rooting for.
Again, I think Luger is mostly a heel, except when he was trying to be Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
But this one thing was after that, because this was 89. I want to say... It might be before or after. I can't remember the timeline on that one. But, yeah, like, you know, it was a really serviceable match. I don't say it's serviceable. It was really good. It was, Luger won. Yeah. So, and you know, I do love the interview beforehand when the guy's like, well, how long are you going to be champion? He's like, I'm going to be champion for as long as I want to. It's like, well, he's been champion 3 times, so he's been defeated 4.
Yeah,
like,
that means he's lost.
Yeah, that was a good touch. Ooh, what do we got here? The Road Warriors with Paul Ellering versus the Skyscrapers, Dan Spivey and Sid Vicious with Teddy Long, playa. Tag team match. And his giant key.
Well, this one's relevant in kind of a sad way since Animal passed away like maybe a month ago.
Yeah.
But again, you know, just more of the same. Really good match. I will say it's sort of an anecdote. It's like as a kid, I always thought the Road Warriors were cool because I would see trading cards or pictures or toys. It's like, oh wow, these guys wrestle in armor? That's awesome! And then, oh no, they take it off before you get in the ring.
They should though. They give them an advantage. And you know, Sid Vicious is he's a guy he's not the most talented in the ring, and he's doesn't say promos very well, but he definitely has facial expressions. Like I thought that he's a psycho. Like when they were doing the test of strength, I'm like, he looks insane right now.
It's the cold, dead eyes of a serial killer.
Yeah.
Let's cast him as Superman.
Yeah. And it is funny because it's another thing that goes back to Bray Wyatt, because Dan Spivey became Waylon Mercy, who was literally the inspiration for Bray Wyatt, the cult leader, because he just took him wholesale. So, you know, it's funny a lot of things just kind of come back to stuff now. Hell, Paul Ellering was the man for AOP.
Huh.
Before they, like, when they got to the main roster, they're like, no, we don't want you. And boy, that worked out well for them, didn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know why they made that decision. I'm going to assume that's Vince.
Let's blame everything
but
on
it ended in a DQ, because they got Teddy Long's key.
the big metal key, yeah.
You know, I was thinking in the middle of the match when, like, the Skyscrapers were starting to lose, I was like, well, the problem here is the Undertaker hasn't debuted yet, so Teddy Long can't bring him out and fight the guys. But it's a big DQ, big schmoz ending. But you know, it was
fun though because
it was fun.
A guy carrying around this big key is like, okay, I got this thing. But then it became relevant.
Yeah.
It's like, and they just started beating. Like everyone took a turn with it. Basically,
everyone beat the shit out of each other with that key.
Yeah, so that was fun.
All right, and the main event in the Thunderdome, you had Ric Flair and Sting with Ole Anderson as the Terminator versus the Great Muta and Terry Funk with Gary Hart, I think he's part of the Hart family, as the Terminator there. And this was, first of all, the most Halloween thing, because the big cage was decked out.
Yeah, it had like gargoyles and cobwebs and stuff.
And like, it was very confusing, because it was... The rules were, it was a big cage that was supposed to be electrified.
Yeah, they kept on talking about, throughout the night, throughout the event, they kept on mentioning the cage is electrified. They said that several times. Maybe not those exact words, but it always boiled down to that.
And there's the tag teams, and then there's the Terminator who had a towel. You throw in the towel is the only way they could win.
And the guest referee was Bruno Sammartino.
Yes, fresh from the WWF, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
And so, like... But, like, first of all, like, they're lowering the cage very slowly.
Very slowly.
And making the same thunder sound used in the Thunderdome today. And something caught fire immediately. Like, oh shit, you see guys, like, throwing out. And then Great Muta had to blow his load with the mist, and he put it out.
Yeah.
So great on him, by the way. That was fun.
Yeah.
But, like... That came into effect exactly once.
Yeah.
When Muta was trying to climb the cage for some reason.
Because during the whole setup, it suddenly wasn't the cage is electrified, it was the top of the cage is electrified. So if they try to climb out, they'll get zapped.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, well, that's kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
And yeah, that happened once where, I think you said it was Muda. I mean, good acting. I believe he got electrocuted. But that's the only time it came into effect.
Yeah.
There were several points where others were near the top of the cage and it didn't come to an effect. And it also confused me because every time I saw someone climbing and the other team would try to climb after him, it's like, no, just let him climb.
Yeah, right?
Let him get zapped.
Exactly. And there's a rope that Sting was swinging around and got caught on. And I was impressed when he, I thought he was going to Tarzan in, but he still, just jumped from the cage into the middle of the ring onto the guys, so...
Yeah. And, for me, this is my first Ric Flair match in his prime, when he's not just, they're, going the lights out right before he gets kicked or something. And it's my first Sting match, and I'm like, okay, I can see why these guys were a big deal.
Yeah.
So...
It's also weird seeing Surfer Sting. I knew he existed, but I was not prepared for how day-glow he was and excited. So it's just weird. And, I was really expecting Flair to turn on Sting, because that's their whole thing. They have a big rivalry, so... But, yeah, it's also funny that this was... Ric Flair was the 6-time world champion. It's we got 10 more of his.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're really good. And, Sting, though, needs to invest in new face paint. Every match I've ever seen, every part, face paint is perfect to begin with. By the end, it's gone.
Yeah.
It's just gone. Even when he was the Crow.
But yeah, so disappointment from the electrified Thunderdome aside, this was just a steel cage match. It was a good steel cage match. It's just after the hype, it's like, it's just a steel cage match.
They should do it now, so they have the Thunderdome in the Thunderdome.
Ooh.
But, if I can fantasy book for a second, if they did do it now, what I would do is, if you don't want the cage electrified all the time, because someone's going to hit the cage. It's going to happen. Do, there's a cage match in the WW, the 2K Battlegrounds thing, Battlegrounds game, where it's every so often it's electrified. Do that. Have it 5-minute intervals. A shock gets through there. So you could time spots to where somebody's putting the cage and go, ah! And just do that.
Yeah.
There's something there. It could work. You just need to, refine it better.
Yeah.
And as far as I know, they never did this again. This is, the only time they did. They might.
Okay, sorry about that, folks. Some people without masks started ringing the doorbell wanting to talk about the wonders of the orange skull, so we had to spray him down with the fire hose and stop Bruce from eating them so he wouldn't get sick, and it was a whole thing.
Yes,
so anyway.
Totally that, and not ghosts! Ooh, spooky! Ooh!
So, Thunderdome match. Good, but not what we were expecting.
Yeah. Yeah, gimmick. Match itself good. Gimmick didn't really pan out the way they advertised it to.
Yeah.
So, bring that one back, Vince. You're crazy enough to bring that back. That, either on main roster or NXT.
NXT could have a field day with that.
Oh, God, yeah. So, but, so, final thoughts, as, of course, we got interrupted before the final thoughts.
Yeah.
I don't know if we want to do grades, but if I were to give this thing a grade, I'd go to good B.
A minus, B plus.
Yeah.
Not spectacular, but solid.
Yeah, it's a good start to Halloween Havoc, which really makes it interesting to see how the hell we get to certain ones. Ooh, 95 is going to be fun when we get there.
Oh, yeah. I've heard the legends.
Yeah. But yeah, this was a good start to it. I really want to know, if they just called it Halloween Havoc because it was so close to Halloween.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, the aesthetic as far as set-wise wasn't there. But there wasn't much of a set anyways, because that was just the time frame. But, later on, I'm glad it became a tradition. I'm glad they brought it back, because
I'm looking forward to the NXT version.
Yeah, the name alone is just good. And I love Halloween anyway, so anything Halloween-y style is good up for me.
Yeah.
So, that was the first paper review.
Yeah.
We'll be back whenever. I don't know
At some point, with another review.
Yeah, a monthly thing, semi-monthly.
At least try to make it monthly.
Yeah, we just pick something to watch.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll find out. Maybe
it's not like we're going anywhere.
Yeah, maybe we'll try to tie it to pay-per-views for the month. We'll try that. We already missed Hell in a Cell because that's next week. Dating this video immediately.
Yeah.
But we'll have predictions for that, and we'll just see you whenever.
All right. See you, folks.